Good afternoon. This is the Elliott Wave Daily Update for the S&P 500, being recorded on Monday, November the 3rd at 2:45 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And to be honest with you, if you take a look at this chart and compared it to this morning, you'll be like, oh, did anything happen? And while it did, it didn't move out of a very tight range that was set early, or set within the first half hour, basically, here in the S&P, and it just traded sideways. Market continues to wait again. Now I hope they're not going to wait like this until the 14th of November, which is when Nvidia will report. But tomorrow we have AMD. So AMD reports on the 4th, as does I think SMCI, and they may be waiting for those. We continue to roll, and now the market is very attuned to anything AI. And as soon as it comes out, we got algorithms that are just going to jump. And and that's the way that part is. And so we can expect that up until and through when we get these earnings reports. Now, some of the things that really caused a ruffle and the market really moved, for example, in Netflix, we saw last week that they announced a forward split or something of that nature, which I didn't really understand exactly what it is. I know what a reverse split is. I know what 2-for-1 split is, but it's just a plain, something forward. Didn't make sense. But anyway, it added a lot to the stock. I think it took it up to 1135 or somewhere up in there, maybe even a little bit higher. And then today we saw that the market sold off, bringing it back to 1100, and possibly now it will go lower again. Filling in time, you might say here, right? But in any case, if I go back to this, if I just look at the bar chart, I can think to myself, yes, there is a way that you could say that this is done. A, B, C here. That is not a part of the move. That came after the high. So that would be like wave one, or part of wave one. This would be two. But is it possible if I do it straight like this and didn't look at anything else? I could say yes. I could put the C wave here and put this B wave above it. So right there, sub minuet as a part of this minuet wave 4. So it's wave A of minuet wave 4. This would be wave B of minuet wave 4, and we're dropping. Now, here's the clues. And before I show you why I don't think that it actually is done, that if this is all we had and we're making that call, then this thing has got to go. No more playing around, nothing. Because what we're dealing with is now moving back into this C wave going down, which its closest quote unquote cousin would be a third wave. They resemble each other in how they move and where they extend, and sometimes the power that can be behind them. And in this case, we're looking for a C wave moving down to put in the completion point for this minuet wave 4. And I continue to look for 6760, 6750. We need to overlap wave 1. That is a part of this is going to remain a diagonal, a fifth wave diagonal going up in a strong bull market. So it's an ending diagonal, so to speak. And so I'm continuing to leave that, and that would continue to suggest that wave 3 has got to be 3 waves, and there you have them, A, B, C. Now, I cannot rule out that this somehow is a 4. But to go along with this could be 1, 2, 3, and we get a 4, and we get a 5, and we have 5 waves up from here, which could not necessarily change the dynamic, but push this. So it extends one more time. So this would go up, and this would come down to possibly here or to wherever we think this bottoms. That still remains one of the thoughts, or what could be behind all of this, that we have one more solid run up. And if that's the case, just to finish this minuet third wave, it's like, yes, it can happen. The entire run, when we just go out and we're looking at a daily chart, we've had this whole third wave, the minute third wave, was very strong and extended several times. So why wouldn't I think in the fifth wave, which also should and possibly is but doing it inside of this triangle pattern ends in the third wave. All right, so that would be in the third, it still would be in minuet wave 3. And that would then get closer, in my view, would get closer, if not touch 7,000. Then we do this fourth wave correction. Then something enters into the marketplace and just forces that type of a correction, which again, by the way, because it really still would remain in an expanding diagonal, we still would be looking for wave 4 to come down and overlap wave 1. So probably easier to do it from here in terms of just the price difference versus trying to start it from up here. The stimulus or whatever's going to do it from up here could be related to several different things. It could be related to around SMI. It could be related to around AMD. It could be related to around NVIDIA or some other particular stock that decides that, okay, that's enough. We've had it. Now goes in another direction. So again, it depends. Now, that's leaving that if this is still going to be left in a bar chart. I want to show you in the line chart, and you'll see this takes a whole different view. There aren't any, not going up nor going down. That's basically what the market did today. Nothing. Sat in a very tight range. Yes, it had a spike up, it had a spike down early, and then it spent the rest of the day basically inside itself. So really, what do we have? Well, if I would have this A, and then I have an A and a B, then I'm really looking at this. This is 3. This is 3. So an A, B again. So is it just, it's weird. It's weird because I could say that this is, you take it down even another degree, and I don't want to do that, but I got to let the market tell me. So again, here, in terms of what this is trying to say, it really could be 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we get up into 3 and a 4 and a 5. And I wouldn't be expecting it to lift off from here, to be honest with you. That's, to me, not a bullish type of a position or a pattern. Neither is this whole thing. We did do what I assume and have counted out as 5 down. So I believe we're already into that fourth wave, and I'm already labeling it A. This is still going to be a B wave, so we would still be looking for it to get up to above 6906, which it did today, but not just on a spike. Because ultimately, I would like to see it go above this high, which is 13 or 14. And then we have the potential that it could go up to 1.618 because this spiked lower. So with that in mind, that's why you can, so it could be a little bit irregular. To the downside, it was a little bit irregular. So very little. So I would allow it. And it basically still comes in below that high. Again, on a bar chart. So flat. So that's really truly, because this is 5, so I wouldn't be looking for it, but I could take this. 618, sure. A, B, boom. Would come down in that C wave. And that is still what I'm looking for. And I think it's going to get pushed and pulled all over the place. Because the other thing that I think a lot of people are getting tired of, and as a day trader, it's just kind of, they're not in sync. And what I mean by that is, like, if we take a look at the S&P, what it did pretty much off the bell this morning, yep, it went up, made a new high, but then just started to sell. And then it continued to sell. Well, the NASDAQ continued to play, moving higher, coming a little lower, moving higher, coming a little lower. And the S&P just kind of dropped until it made its session lows. And then it went up and just moved sideways. But still, those first couple of moves, they weren't, the NASDAQ and the S&P were not in sync with each other. Wow. Here's the interesting part. But the fact is, it's like the S&P and the NASDAQ, the top 9, if not 10 stocks are the same. It's the Mag 7 plus a couple other within that sphere, within either AI or just within tech. So again, it gets interesting when I'm watching that, because today, courtesy of basically NVIDIA and Tesla, and a little bit from Google, and a little bit from Amazon. But in essence, it was those two stocks. And I find that very interesting how two stocks can truly, because of the cap weighted factor, be in control of a price of where prices are going in an index and in ETFs. So it's kind of amazing to me. So this is where I have to leave it, folks. I'm a little bit backfilling on some of the stuff that I see going on. As to whether or not that's going to last, no. So what I long for, to be honest with you, is to go back to that time where it's like they did move in sync with each other. It's like if we were selling the markets, we were selling the markets. They weren't just picking one out, going, NVIDIA, no, you got it. We're going to hold you out because you're going to withstand whatever we're selling everything else for. And that's what I find interesting, because there has to be that catalyst. There has to be economic news. There has to be some type of news that affects prices. And yet we're not connecting the dots, because this market, against where the government is right now, against what's happening in a lot of different areas with terms of money and the public and et cetera. I mean, it's like, yeah, it gets interesting. Okay, so I got to leave open that we could run up first, and then we resume with, do I have one that could show that we could come up? Yes, that's down there under alternate, and that would move the 3 to here and put the 4 here. And then this is just a sideways move that hopefully would correct and just start moving up and out of where this pattern. And if it does, it should go, and it should go actually pretty quickly. If indeed this 3 is coming over here and this 4 is going here. And yes, I know that is best, and I've counted it as 5. And I'd have to take it all back and count it as 3. And yes, sometimes they are interchangeable. They're not as clear. You know, you can count it, but without breaking any rules. But yeah, it can get strange. Or again, we don't come all the way up, but we just do that, and then we turn and we start coming down. Again, the thing about this particular count, if we're thinking about that the B wave is here and we're dropping in that C wave, because that's also out there. It could be A, B, C, very small little kind of a failure there, and that works. It works. It does, and it got to the 100% where wave C equals A. Everything works there, and you could put the B there, and that would be 1, 2, and this would be. It's like, okay, this needs to pick it up if that's what it is. So again, look and feel, right? So it has to move. If we're going to come down in a third, we can't go up and test the top again. We can't go up an even inch above the top. That would not work in this time, in this little time frame here. So if we break it down here, you can kind of look inside, see it's a little bit cleaner, like ABC, okay. And then we should come down and we should drop. We should be able to break below 68.50 pretty quickly if it's a third coming down. All right, that's going to be it. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick on something else. So again, my apologies for this morning, folks, but my alarm didn't go off. And the reason is because I forgot to set it. So again, my apologies for kind of coming on and jamming out that morning update. And the next update, though, will be tomorrow morning. Have a great evening.